Hey. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for being here. We are with Sebastian Krieger, Colombian author, journalist, storyteller, and now novelist from Calixta Editores, with his first novel, The Cube. Thank you for being here. Thank you to the Frankfurt Book Fair for the invitation. I am Jorge S. Restrepo. I'm going to talk, to chat with our friend Sebastian, who is going to tell us all his process as an author, how he wrote this book, and all his professional experience that he brought to the book. So, hi Sebastian, how are you?
Hola, Jorge, how are you?
Good. A little cold in Europe, but very good.
No.
Okay, Sebastian. The first question I wanna ask you is, why writing right now? What motivated you to make the leap towards writing to this novel?
Okay. Well, the easy answer is that is maybe the answer that everyone that writes a book gives you, and it's that it's a passion for me. Since I was in school, I wrote short stories. After that, I studied journalism, and I wrote articles and other kind of stories, different stories. But writing a novel is like running a marathon, something you prepare for your whole life. And it's a very vast, a very huge effort you have to make. And yeah, it's a need. I don't know if it's a thing of our generation, Jorge. I know you share this feeling too, but it's like something. It's like a feeling like you have to leave something behind in terms of your life, more than having a child or so, but to leave something behind. And on the other side, the satisfaction to enter a bookstore and see the poster of your cover and on a bookshelf also. But yeah, it's almost this. It's a need. It's a need to write.
The first time you had your book in your hands, what did you felt? How was that feeling for you? Yes, there it is.
It's a very strange feeling. It was a struggle for more than 10 years. And when you finally have it in your hand, it's something something unreal. I still can't believe that it's here and that we are on the Frankfurter Buchmesse talking about my book. It's amazing. It's incredible.
Why did you choose Calixta Editores as your publishing house?
Maybe Calixta chose me. It's a long story. Being a new writer, especially in a country like Colombia, it's not very easy. There are a few editors, and the big ones treat you like you were something like a fly. You don't get any feedback from the big editors, also from the book contests. Mostly in Spain, you send your novel, you send your text, you send all your hopes, and you don't even get a message saying, "Oh, well, we received it, unless we read it, or we liked it, or we disliked it." And with Calixta, I knocked on many doors and got almost no response. And there was this contest in Calixta. I sent the novel like one contest more, and I got the email. And after 2 meetings with Calixta Editores in Bogota, we agreed on the terms of the publishing of my book. And a few months later, it was a reality.
That's a very good reality. So we heard that you speak German. Your father is German. You had a German education in Colombia. How would you describe your reading childhood? You read in German first and then in Spanish, or how was this process for you?
Um, I know I was privileged because I went to the German school in Colombia, and I had the opportunity to read in their native language authors like Kafka, like Rainer Maria Rilke, and on the other hand, authors like Ernesto Sabato and Gabriel Garcia Marquez. And it was like, for me, it was like, wow, you can really do this. and it gave me really important tools for my life. I recognized, and I must confess, I was a very bad student. I sucked at mathematics and sciences.
Like most of writers.
Yeah, terrible, really embarrassing. But this gave me this push to study journalism, communication, and finally to write, which is that thing that gives passionates me.
Okay, so let's talk about your book now. Your novel has, among other things, it revolves around the idea of dreams and dreams as a premonition. How did you reach this topic and what dreams mean to your life?
Okay, before I answer your question, I was thinking, and one of the books I read when I was in school was Patrick Süskind's The Perfume, and it's the most important novel about the sense of smell. And I wanted to write a novel about dreams, not the biggest novel about dreams, but yeah, it's a great novel about dreams. And why dreams? I believe that, well, on the first hand, you sleep almost 1/3 of your life. You pass 1/3 of your life dreaming, sleeping and dreaming, and there happens a lot of stuff. And when you wake up, you mostly forget all what happens in your dreams. And wow, if you put it together, it's a lot of time, and it should be very, very important. What this on the one side, on the other side, on the other hand, like many persons around the world, I've had premonitory dreams. I dreamt, for example, about earthquakes before they happened, and it was a very frightening experience. And I always said like this, wow, this is strange. And about 10 years ago, before I started to write my novel, I was working for the government. I wrote the speeches for the Minister of Culture, and it was a very difficult time for me in terms of intrigues and all that stuff that happens in the public service. It's not easy to work in a post in the public service, in the government. And as a coincidence, I got a dictionary of dreams, and I started to read about my own dreams and try to give these dreams some meaning, some interpretation. And it was really helpful. And it was like, wow, really, this means exactly what I'm feeling. This is the situation I am living. And it gave me a lot of tools, but also peace and tranquility. And this was the element I was missing for my novel. So I used the theme of the dreams to kind of a leitmotif of my novel.
Okay, and the main title is The Cube. The main character has a little stone with the form of a little cube. And what does the figure of the cube means to you? Why this particular figure?
It is said that the cube is the perfect form in the universe. I'm not sure about that. Most dictionary of dreams I have consulted say that if you dream of a cube, it's because you have a square head, like you are kind of dumb. But the cube has also an interesting background. And before I started to write my novel, I had this very strange dream that I was walking down a stair down into the earth in spiral. And at the bottom of the earth, there was this huge cube of stone. And in the walls of the stone of this cube, you could walk inside this cube. It had stairs up and down, many different rooms, and then all over the walls of this cube, it was carved in the stone all the knowledge of the world. It was a very strange. I still have it recorded because on those days I was so obsessed with my dreams that I slept with a tape recorder and beside my bed, and this was the second element I used for my novel, and it was given to me in a dream.
And it was a regular dream? You dreamed about the cube once, twice, or just once?
Just once.
Just once.
It was very impressive.
Not like the character that he has always the same dream with the cube, and he can't even sleep, or he has afraid to go into sleep because of this nightmare or because of this dream. And one of the things that I really like in your book, and it's a little thing that I love in some books, is that you don't mention countries or cities in which the story develops, right? We can imagine where can it happen. If you're Colombian, you can figure it out where the main character lives, where the main character becomes someone successful, but there's no names of the little town and the city he lived at the end of the book. What's the reason behind this choice?
Yes, Jorge. The thing is that it all started a few years ago. I traveled with my motorcycle from Bogota to Buenos Aires and up again, and I noticed that all over Latin America we are very similar, not only in our culture, our language, our religion, our problems, but also in the different realities and the different universes that coexist one beside the other. For example, I'm sitting here right in my office. I have electricity. I have an excellent internet connection. I have there are buildings, cars. I don't know. But if I take my motorcycle and ride 1 hour in almost any direction from Bogota, I will find a total different reality, total different realities. I will find probably persons that live like 100 or 200 years ago, without electricity, without running water, without education, with totally different conceptions about the world. And this happens all over Latin America. So I wanted to give my book this tone, that these realities are possible all over Latin America. It's not only in Colombia, but it's the same in Peru, it's the same in Argentina, in Chile, all over Latin America. And it's a reality I wanted to stress out, to point out. And that's why I don't choose names for the towns or for the places. I choose names, for example, for places in Europe and places in the USA.
States,
and this is because, for example, in the USA, all over the country, the whole country is almost the same.
The same, yeah.
Yeah, and Latin America is very different in that term.
And one thing that I love in we can divide the book in three parts. The first part is the story of your main character, Cesar, growing up in the country with his aunt. He's an orphan, and the depiction that you create of this little town with all the little aspects that a Latin American town has shocked me because it was so real. You have the imaginary of the people that goes to the church, and after going to the church, they go to see Cesar's aunt, who is we can say a witch, but she's not a witch. She's just someone who makes interpretation of dreams. Yeah, and this is the woman that everybody has is ashamed to go in to visit her, but they need her because everybody needs the interpretation of the dreams. How do you create this magnificent little town? Were you inspired in one little town in particular, or how this idea came to you?
I believe that this little town I describe in the novel could be any town in Colombia, every little town in Latin America. Mm-hmm. It's places where it's a place where time never passes, where the progress can only be seen in the different colors or the different signs of publicity. But for example, in Colombia, you go to a town and you'll find the same problems, and you find the same people, the same characters. Mm-hmm. I lived for 2 years in Villa de Leyva, which is a very small town in Colombia. Because of work, I used to work for the Humboldt Institute, which is the institute that makes the whole biological and scientific characterization of Colombia's biodiversity. And I traveled all over Colombia. I knew jungles, I knew the whole country, thanks to the expeditions of this institute. And I noticed from there that the problems and the towns are the same. Maybe the weather is different, or the color of the skin of some people is different, but the base problems and the base characteristics are the same.
Yes, I'm going to ask you some questions that we have in our chat. So, Emma Klaus would like to know, which is your favorite German writer?
My favorite German writer, maybe Rainer Maria Rilke. I read him at school, thanks to a very good teacher, a very tough teacher. And I liked especially the descriptions he makes of the towns. I can remember very well a short story from Rainer Maria Rilke. It's called In Dansk. He describes the city of Dansk. And I can remember how he described the smell of the streets. And I can still imagine the smell of some potatoes or something. And it's my favorite German writer.
Perfect. And Ariana Saudit asked you, do you have been thinking to adapt your novel to another language or to German? Make an adaptation to German or other languages?
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. I would like it very much. I'm not sure if I would able to do it, but of course, I would love that readers in Europe, and especially in Germany, could read me. It would make me very, very happy.
Oh, perfect. Continuing with your book, there's an excerpt I really liked. It's the part where Cesar goes to the army, where the military instruction and conflict are the key point of Cesar's development. What does the army means to you?
Wow. Since I have memory, Colombia has been in war. This is a reality. There have been peace treaties with paramilitaries, with FARC, with all kind of groups, but the wars goes on and goes on forever. And the curious thing about the war in Colombia is that the enemies are invisible. Maybe the army is the only visible part of the conflict, but there is a huge selection of invisible enemies. You call them guerrilla, you call them paramilitaries, you call them drug lords, you call them robbers. It's huge. And the thing is that Colombia is a country where there is this saying, maybe you can help me, Jorge, pasa de todo, pero nunca pasa nada.
Everything happens, but nothing happens at all.
Exactly. And this is the reality of Colombia. You can have peace treaties, you can have agreements, but the war goes on. The war on invisible enemies. And in my book, I write it as a metaphor. The platoon of Cesar, the character, they are at night in the middle of the jungle, and they engage combat. And they start shooting at the night, and they shoot at nothing because the enemy is invisible. And this is what I wanted to point out, that the enemies in Colombia are invisible. And talking about that, I believe that the enemies, the real enemies, are the corruption of the government, and not only of the central government, but also of the local governments, the lack of education, the poverty, the lack of opportunities, and the temptation of making something illegal. For example, the narco traffic, illegal mining, trafficking animals, and so on and so on, because people is so poor that they see the illegality as an opportunity.
Yeah, and this passage really touched me because at first we have these teenagers that are recruited against their will. They have this instructor, Osorio, who is a really bad person. Ospina, who's a very bad person, a very bad person. And Cesar has a friend, his only friend in the army, Hernandez, who is a good boy, with the representation of a goodness. And this instructor wants to destroy him psychologically. I want to ask you if this you have been in army, and you had one person that was like that, and a structure that was like that. You saw that, you lived that.
Yes. All the characters in my book are real. I mean, the names are different. Maybe the only name which is really real, is Hernandez. He was a friend. He was a friend of mine at school. We were together in the army, and he killed himself. He was a great writer, and this is something I must do sometime in my life. And that's another story. The thing is, all characters are real, and I maybe changed the names. Ospina, the sergeant, he was a real person. He was my instructor, and he was a mean person. I know he was a victim of the army, a victim of the conflict, of the society, and of the whole situation. But he was mean, and he ended like I describe it in the book. He stepped on a mine, and he died in the middle of a battlefield in a muddy puddle.
And what's very beautiful, like you said, is that we have these teenagers that they barely know how to live. They barely know themselves. And one night we send them to the battle. They shot at the night, because they shot at the night, they shot at nothing, yes. And we can smell the fear in everybody, in these teenagers, that they don't know how they got met there. And that passage, I think, is one of the most poetic passages I've read in a lot of time. And I wanted to ask you, you know that Colombia signed this peace treaty like 3 4 years ago. How a Colombian author can, after all these years of internal conflict, write about war in Colombia? The book is not in Colombia, but about war, without falling in the cliche, in what we have already said about our conflict.
Well, Jorge, it's a curious thing. I wrote this book many years ago, but I finished it about 5 years ago, where a peace treaty was still something you wouldn't believe. But I wrote that Cesar asked himself that how is it possible that there is still a war if there was a peace treaty? And that is because of what I told you before, because the base issues, the base problems of Colombia are still there, and they are not solved. My book is kind of premonitory in many things. It's curious because, for example, some names of the characters became famous, became famous after I wrote it, and it wasn't even my intention. For example, the character with the name Duque. Today, Duque is the president of Colombia. And when I wrote the book, I had no idea who was Duque. It was the name of a friend of mine. And what name do I put on this character? No, Duque. Oh, okay, Duque. That's you. And yes, but going back to your question, Jorge, the thing is that in Colombia, the main problems, the main issues are still there. The country where everything happens, but nothing ever really happens.
Yes, it's on a spiral. Everything goes on and goes on, and we have this feeling that there's never going to stop. But okay, that's our reality. Edwin Hess has a question. Now that you mentioned that you wrote this book for many years, how long did it take to you for the writing of this novel?
Very long, very long. It took me about, I don't know, more than 8 or 10 years to finish it. The thing is, as a writer in Colombia, it is very difficult to work. In my case, I had to give up my career as a journalist because the jobs I got would not pay for my credit card. And so I had to find a job in something else. I actually work in imports, but I have the fortune that my actual job allows me to, with my other left hand, to write novels while I answer phones and I answer emails. I started to write this book when I finished my last post as a journalist in the Ministry of Culture. And I finished it in Banff. Banff is a small town in Canada. And my wife won a scholarship. She's a plastic artist. She won a scholarship at the Banff Center of Arts. And I took 2 weeks off so I could totally focus on finishing my novel.
No, perfect. In the novel, they are 3 strong female characters, very strong. You have Arsenia, who is Cesar's aunt, who symbolizes mysticism. Socorro, who embodies this religious education and submission. Yes, it's the first love, if you can tell, of Cesar. And Veronica, who is Cesar's wife, that she's a spoiled bourgeois with a clear professional path that has been marked by her father. How did you build these 3 powerful characters in your novel?
Yes, the three characters, the three women in this book, are the three loves of Caesar.
Mhm.
Arsenia, the aunt. She, yes, as you said, she represents all the witchcraft, the mysticism, and
Mhm.
she is the one that teaches Caesar to how to give dreams a meaning. Not that she teaches him, is that he learns from her, and that is because he is after her love. He wants that she loves him. Cesar is an orphan. He has no father. He
Mhm.
has no mother. He has never been loved, and he is urged of the love of the only woman she knows at that time, and that is Arsenia. The second woman is Socorro. She is a young, very naive woman, and Socorro loves Cesar, but Socorro embodies embodies this woman which is a victim of the male society and the victim of church.
Mhm.
What does that mean? It's a reality that in Colombia and in Latin America and that in other countries around the world, woman is still oppressed, and is oppressed by this male chauvinism, by sexism, and especially by church.
Mhm.
Women like Socorro, who are brilliant, who are very intelligent, who work hard, will have no opportunity, they have no chance in life to progress if they don't have the help, if they don't count on the help of a man and the decision of a man. And Socorro wants to be rescued from the hard and tough life she has. She wants to be rescued by Cesar. And in terms of equality, Colombia is, there have been some improvements, but the education, the traditional education that we still get in this country and in many other countries, especially in Latin America, um, from the beginning is giving women this part in society which is below of men, and this is
Mhm.
something I think is should change it because it's terrible. The story of Socorro is a drama.
Yeah, it's a real drama.
It's terrible. And finally, there's this third woman, Veronica. And Veronica is, as you said, a spoiled rich woman, and it's the third love of Cesar, the main character, and Victoria is Madora. Veronica represents everything that Cesar wants, all he wants in life: richness, a good name, beauty, and recognition of the society. Because
Mhm.
Veronica is the daughter of a very important person in the novel, and at the end, Veronica has to choose. She has to make a choice. She has to choose between Cesar and her career. I will not spoil the end of the novel, but
Oh,
this is these are the three women of my novel.
of your book. And there's something I really appreciate in your novel is that if you see Cesar, if you see Socorro, if you see Arsenia, Veronica, and even Veronica's father, everyone is very lonely. It's a book about loneliness, about how to understand yourself being completely alone. Why no? Why no? How? What do you want to express with the loneliness of all these characters in your book?
Wow, I haven't seen like this before. I have to think about it,
Mhm.
but no, it was more like practical terms.
Mhm.
I don't like novels. I don't like books where there are so many characters because
Mhm.
I have a very bad memory and I don't remember reading a book the names of all the characters. And I wanted to use the less amount of persons of characters so the reader won't be confused. And and well, yeah, loneliness, I don't know. I have to think about it, but maybe it's a symptom of the society. In fact, we live in society, but in the end and in the ground, we are alone. We are very
Yeah.
alone.
Yes, that shocked me in a good way because, like I told you, Cesar in the country, he's an orphan and he's most of the time alone. His only company, real company, is the little stone, the little cube. Arsenia, the really only company she has is dreams. And Socorro, the only company she has is religion. So this story of loneliness in our literature really, really got me. Really, you nailed it very good, I think. Mm, Another question I want to ask you is: there's an image that we find three times in the novel. There's a little kid, naked and lost, that speaks to the stones. What's the origin of this powerful image?
It's a terrible story, and it's a true story, I have to say, and it makes me very, very sad. When I was working with this institute that make biological investigation all around Colombia, in one of these expeditions, we reached a house in the middle of the jungle, in the middle of nowhere. To get to this place, we had to travel for at least 2 days. And in this house, there lived a family. And when we arrived, I met this young boy about, I don't know, maybe 10 years old, maybe more, maybe less. He was sitting in the mud, and he was throwing mud at us, making strange noises. I tried to reach him, but it was impossible. The boy did not talk. The only communication he got to the he had to the rest of the world was through his little sister, who was about 5 or 6 years old. And I think it was a story about, or behind this, it was a story about abuse or something like that. And the person who was taking care of the boy, a woman, an old woman, told me that the boy did never learn to speak, and that he usually escaped from the house, and that it was common that for him to go away for even days, and that when he was about 3 years old, he escaped from his house in the middle of the jungle, and he was found 5 or 6 days later, naked in a creek, in a small river, talking in his strange language to stones. This image, for me, it was like, oh my God. And I couldn't take it out of my head. And this is the image, and this is the origin of the story of Cesar Escobar, the character of the book.
Okay, it's a very powerful image. When I read it three times, and you can say that when the image appears, a new chapter or a new part of the book will continue. It's a very powerful image. It shocked me, and it really got me as this metaphor of being a child in a country as poor as Colombia, where a little child get lost, and the only company he has are stones. I have, Emma Klaus has another question for you. For the people that haven't read your novel, why people must read El Cubo and read it right now?
What people, excuse me, I didn't understand.
Why people must read El Cubo?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, why people must read El Cubo? Okay. Why read El Cubo? Well, it's a different novel. It's a novel you can't put in catalog in as a special, for example, black novel or love story. You can't catalog it in a specific position. It's a novel that has love story. There is a love story. Yeah. In fact, there are 2 love stories. Where there is a story where it's a black novel too. It's a story about mystery. It's a story about dreams. It's a story about the history of Latin America. And I know it will amuse you. It's a bit dark at the beginning, but if you continue to read, it will take very different shades every time you go forward.
Okay. I have a little question after before I let you speak a little bit in German to our German people. Do you remember what you dreamt last night? What did you dream last night?
Oh, what I dreamt last night. Yes, I remember. There is this common thing in with my wife and my daughter. Mm-hmm. When we have breakfast every day, we ask each other, "What did you dream?" And there always come very funny stories out. But last night, what did I dream? No, I know, I remember it. No, I don't remember. Maybe I dreamt with something with work, and that's maybe because I was so nervous about this speech.
Yeah, and you take dreams as Cesar in the novel. You try to interpret every dream you have in your life, or not. You're not as obsessed as Cesar in the novel with dreams.
No. There was a time when I was very obsessed with my dreams, and as I told you, it was very helpful, and it gave me a lot of tranquility and peace for my daily stuff. I only check my dreams. I have many dictionaries right now, and I only check my dreams when I dream about something very, very powerful. For example, a very strong image. So I have to check. I usually dream a lot with elevators, and I've checked it, and it's very weird. Elevators mean that I internally have the need to progress fast, to go on top fast without any effort. That's the meaning. But every time I dream with an elevator, something happens, like the elevator got stuck, or the elevator does not go up but sideways, or the elevator, there is a blackout, or the elevator falls, or the elevator, the doors open in the middle of two stages and I can't go out, or the elevator stops and a person I don't like comes in. I have dozens of dreams of elevators. I don't know, I have to check it with my psychologist.
Well, I'll let you express yourself a little bit in German to our German audience. I know German is your native, or second, I don't know, your native language, if we can say it. So I'll let you express yourself in German to our German writers.
Okay, vielen Dank. Ich will mich kurz bedanken mit der Frankfurter Buchmesse. Es ist sehr wichtig für mich als Schriftsteller, der noch nicht bekannt ist, hier mitzumachen. Es ist auch sehr wichtig für Verlage wie Calixta Editores in Bogotá. Es ist wie ein kleines Fenster, das sich öffnet, aber ein kleines Fenster, wo uns die Welt sehen kann. Die Frankfurter Buchmesse ist vielleicht die wichtigste Messe in der Welt, und für mich ist es wirklich sehr, sehr wichtig, hier mitzumachen. Es ist eine Ehre für mich, hier zu sein. Also dann ich bedanke mich herzlich mit der Buchmesse. Oh, and Jorge, thank you too, and thank you for Calixta Editores for giving me the opportunity of making part of this fair.
Thank you, Sebastian, for writing this very good novel. It's really a very, very good book. And thank you, everybody that has stayed with us, this lecture. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself, Sebastian. And we invite you to watch the other events that we have with Calixta Editores in the Frankfurt Book Fair. Thanks, everybody. Thank you very much. Danke, merci beaucoup.
Danke.
Thank you, Sebastian.
Gracias, Jorge.